I guess I first need to thank the organizers. This is really a great opportunity to talk to all of you over the next 3 days, and I'm really looking forward to that. As Irina mentioned, I represent a nonprofit called DataKind. DataKind is a kind of like an intermediary of sorts. Just as in the legal world, the idea of pro bono work by lawyers has built up, it also makes a lot of sense in the data science world, right? You have data scientists that are, sometimes command high salaries that nonprofit organizations, social good organizations, many times cannot afford, right? But these data scientists, they still do want to have some kind of impact outside of their day jobs. So if they have volunteer hours outside of their jobs, and they want to be using their skills, right? If they're making soup for the nearest homeless shelter, that is having an impact, but it's not having the full impact that person can have. So DataKind comes about as an intermediary to bring these data scientists who are willing to donate their skills and time to social good organizations. Okay, so I'll give you a few examples of projects that we've done. Following Anga's example, it's going to be fairly fluffy. Okay, so I chose the theme of mapping for good, and basically because that has a lot of nice pictures, and I don't need to show any mathematical formulas. Okay, so it should be light. Hopefully the inspiration that you derive from this is what kind of projects might be possible, but also are projects that you're working on, can that benefit with collaboration with DataKind, right? With our large pool of volunteers, this can fit very well into Benjamin's, what he was saying about the hypothesis testing, right? So you have an idea for a data project, you want to get to an MVP stage as quickly as possible. So MVP, minimum viable product, or even before that, as a proof of concept, right? And this is really kind of, I think, the sweet spot of what DataKind volunteers can do, right? We can gather people over a weekend, do a lot of prep work before that, right? We need to clean all the data, but then gather volunteers over the weekend, and then build out a proof of concept. And then you see, is this going to work as an actual data product? Or do we need to discard it and move on to the next idea, right? So having this volunteer base that are happy to contribute their time and on something that is different from what they're doing in their day jobs, can be a win for both sides, right? The volunteers get kind of the personal gratification that they've helped an organization to reach their mission and to increase their impact. So we have slides. Zoom? Control L, or? I don't remember. Is that, no? Sorry, I'm not a Windows. Okay, I can work with that. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, as I mentioned, mapping for good, so I can show you pretty pictures. Can you go to the next slide, please? Down, I guess. Yeah, so the tagline, I guess, is DataKind harnesses the power of data science in the service of humanity. Okay, so we want to use data science and our volunteers in data science to work with organizations such as UNDP to build out data science products that can be used to increase their impact. Okay. Next, please. So we have chapters around the world. The headquarters is in New York. It was started in 2011. In 2014 was when the Singapore chapter started, and the Singapore chapter is where I'm from. I guess relevant to this region, there's also to the participants in this workshop, there's also a Bangalore chapter. They have a lot of, there's a big tech center in Bangalore, a lot of startups, a lot of data scientists, and I'm very happy to make an introduction to them if any of you want to work with them. And just to emphasize, like all of this is pro bono, right? When we gather volunteers, they're working free, so there's no cost. First example of what I want to show, the first few are kind of simple data / mapping exercises, right? They're taking existing data sets. So this was done by the DC chapter, Washington DC chapter, even before there was a chapter there. There were volunteers in Washington DC that were introduced to this organization called DC Action for Children. So in Washington DC, even though it's the capital of the US, there's a lot of poverty in the local area, right? And this organization was helping children in underprivileged situations. A lot of the time they had to make decisions about how to allocate their resources across different neighborhoods. And before they had a tool like this, they were just making kind of best estimates, right? Just from their experience, from their feelings, to say, well, which neighborhood should be allocated these volunteers or these staff, or this budget, right? So they worked with DataKind on a project that was, started with what we call a data dive. So basically a hackathon over a weekend. They produced a proof of concept over that weekend. And then after that, the organization said, this is great. We want to operationalize this. And so they worked with a smaller group of volunteers over the next few months in order to build up this kind of mapping dashboard. So you can go to that link, and it's available, and you can click through and see what data is available there. Okay, next. And the really nice thing about this project was that it's actually reusable. So this was reused in a project in Leeds, right, across the Atlantic in the UK. So I actually went to that data dive. So over the course of one weekend, we worked on changing the library that was used there, changing the backing data, and that could be repurposed for the Leeds voluntary action to see, again, what are the areas of inequality around the city of Leeds in the UK. This third example was work with the American Red Cross. So they had a lot of open data. They had data from different organizations, or that different organizations had collected about incidences of fires in the US at the county level. Right? So what they were able to do over the course of one weekend, again, was to build out this map and see what are the rates of fires, home fires, at the county level in the US. And what the American Red Cross can do now is to optimize where they are targeting their education campaigns. Right? Where should they be sending brochures to residents so that they know, what are the necessary steps to prevent fires, right? And for the volunteers, right, this is really like a feel-good story, right? You're saving lives. The work they do over a weekend and then more extensively afterwards, this work is actually having an impact on people's lives or saving lives. And the last project that I wanted to mention is work that is ongoing. So it's with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, working with satellite imagery in Ethiopia. So in Ethiopia, the crop yields for wheat are far below the global average. One of the reasons why it is below the average is because of this disease called wheat rust. In order to properly deal with wheat rust, you need to go into areas that are affected by wheat rust, and then and then deal with it in those areas. Previously, what had been done, this is a very laborious task in order to find which areas are affected by wheat rust. Right? They would have to go out into the field, take surveys of farmers, talk to them about what issues they're facing, and then you identify, that way you identify where the wheat rust is happening. This can't be done on or it couldn't be done on a large enough scale for it to be impactful. So what they did was they wanted to do a proof of concept over one of these data dive weekends, right? So they held a data dive in Seattle, and they wanted to, the question or hypothesis they had was, well, instead of going out into the field and doing all of these surveys, let's try to see if we can predict incidences of wheat rust through satellite imagery, right? And so they took this hypothesis, took it to a data dive. They had a large group of volunteers, most of them working with Microsoft actually, and they said, well, how good of a job can we actually do in predicting wheat rust based only on satellite imagery? So at the end of the weekend, they were able to predict with something like 85% accuracy. Right? So that's after just a weekend of work. And now they're building it out into a bigger project to actually operationalize this so that they can have closer to real-time predictions of where wheat rust is occurring and not. And then the local organizations can go out into the field and actually deal with wheat rust where it is actually occurring. Right? So this is hopefully will increase crop yields in Ethiopia. Right? So this is a much more, like the previous 3 examples are much more on the diagnostic end of things. Right? It's taking existing data, saying what is happening, right? The data is telling us a story, it's telling us something, and those kind of visualizations are just kind of like summarizing that data. As Anga had a great example of that, right? It's a very good visual summary of the data. This is kind of a bit more higher order in terms of data science, right? We're taking images and saying, okay, can we train a machine basically to distinguish between areas of wheat rust and non-wheat rust, right? And then send out our people to those areas.